All right, well, welcome back, everybody, to the Raider roster report. This is Raider Sparks coming at you with another episode. I just wanted to, I was going to do an episode to dive into the depth chart and kind of take a look at what the 53-man roster would look like. I was hoping the Raiders would have had some more moves so far in free agency, but as I was doing it, I realized it's just too much to do right now. I got 16 open spots right now. I only feel good about 37 players that I feel comfortable like saying that they would be on the 53-man roster. And so that's just a little bit too much right now. And unfortunately, a lot of it is in the wide receiver room. Our wide receiver depth is suspect right now. I think all Raiders fans can kind of see that. I'm sure the Raiders do as well. But anyways, please like, share, subscribe. We'll get into the episode. Obviously, you saw the title of the episode. And, if the Raiders would have interest in Michael Pittman Jr., my guess is yes, but would the Colts be willing to trade Michael Pittman Jr., I think is another question entirely. And so I just want to kind of dive into those two things, kind of look at from both sides, the Raiders side and for the Colts side as well, because it seems like the Raiders are definitely trying to get an X receiver, and that may come through the draft. There are some good ones, I really like Tet McMillan, of course. I think Jaden Higgins is really good out of Iowa State. I think he's being undervalued right now in a lot of the mock drafts. Still a lot of third round stuff. I definitely think if you're going to get him, it'd have to be the second round. I think he's going to be a good player. Alec Almanor out of Stanford's another one as well. But if the Raiders want to go the route in free agency, that's somewhat drying up. I mean, Keenan Allen's still out there. Stephon Diggs, I guess, would be out there as an X. And then a lot of people talking about Elijah Moore, but I think that would be more of a Trey Tucker type of replacement type of player. So, which is fine. I think there's no guarantee Trey Tucker makes this roster either. His performance hasn't been quite that great, but under Chip Kelly, it might get a lot better. So it's kind of, that's a tough call, I think, for the Raiders to make, but we'll see how that goes. I would love Elijah Moore as a young player. He'd be somebody we could put in our team for a long time and really build towards the future with him. But anyways, let's get into it. Michael Pittman Jr., just as a player in general, 5 seasons in the league. He signed a big contract. He has a $23 million cap hit this year. And next year it goes up to $29 million. So definitely a big contract, but not so big anymore, because look at what these receivers are getting paid, especially these number one X type receivers are making this kind of money anyway. So it's not like out of bounds or anything like that for the Raiders to kind of look at a player like this. But I think the main question would be a little bit of injury problem. He missed some games last year. Didn't really miss a lot of games, just kind of missed time on the field. He was dealing with a back injury, so his production wasn't quite as good last year. But he has 2 seasons over 1,000 yards in only 5 seasons in the league. He had over 109 receptions in 2023. I think we all know who Michael Pittman Jr. is, especially if you play fantasy football. He's always a guy that either you love having or you hate having on the team. But his main thing to me is not so much his ability, it's his quarterback ability. And so pairing him with a guy like Geno Smith would be fantastic. I think it would fill out our roster nicely. This is exactly what we need, a 6'2", and a half guy, 32.5-inch arms, 223 pounds at the combine, runs about a 4.52 at the combine, which is, all of these are sort of in line with Tet McMillan and Jaden Higgins, the guys that are coming out this year in the draft. Obviously, those guys are maybe a little bit taller, but Michael Pittman Jr. is, I think, a little bigger, a little thicker, and probably a little bit better too than those guys. So I don't have any doubt that the Raiders would want to get him, especially the first year. If you did trade for him, the Colts would have to eat $10 million, and it really cost us $13 million on the cap. The following year at $29 million, obviously that's steep, but if something went sideways, he does have an out in his contract, so it only costs the Raiders $5 million to get out of it next year if they wanted to. But I mean, that $29 million also, if he does good, you could give him the extension, renegotiate it, play some funny business with the cap, and get the number down. So I think financially the Raiders are in a good spot to be able to do it. The Colts do need a little bit of help on the salary cap. They've got 3 receivers right now. They got A.D. Mitchell, who they drafted highly last year. They got Alec Pierce and Josh Downs. So You know, they're pretty good in receiver even without Pittman, so it's something to think about. But why would the Colts really want to do it? Well, they need a tight end and they could use edge help. So, you know, I'll just throw a couple things out there. You guys, Raider Nation, let me know what you think. Would you trade, you know, Tyree Wilson and Michael Mayer for Michael Pittman? The Colts may look at it. They're both on a rookie contract, so it would help their salary cap. It would help our team because we'd finally get our ex-receiver. It wouldn't cost us draft capital. My guess is you'd still have to throw in a late day 3 pick, something like that, but they might be interested in that. But I think the one thing that they really might be interested in, the Colts, would be to swap first round picks this year, you know, so the Raiders would go from 6 to 14, and the Colts would obviously come up to pick 6 and give us Michael Pittman Jr. It'd be great for the Raiders. We'd still have a first round pick. Probably take us out of the Ashton Genty sweepstakes, maybe, because the Cowboys would probably swoop in and get him. But hey, we could get Shamar Stewart, right, our edge rusher, and beef up our edge room. We could get Amari and Hampton if we wanted to at that point, if you know, early mid first round pick instead of a 6 overall pick with a running back. We could get you know, bolster our offensive line, whatever one of the 3 tackles might fall. Membu, Campbell, which I doubt those guys do, but Calvin Banks is just as good, if not better, than those guys anyway. So we could show up our offensive line right there at 14, or trade back again if we wanted to. So, you know, a lot of Raider Nation fans out there are always talking about trading back. Well, there you go. There would be an option to trade back, get your ex-receiver, still keep your first round pick. Just have to take on the salary cap, which the salary cap this year is not much. The following year, like I said, if it didn't work out for injuries or whatever, you could get out of it for $5 million, or you could restructure that $29 million and do an extension, those types of things. So it's a win all the way around for the Raiders if you're able to pull this off. Now for the Colts, why would they do it? I believe the Colts really would love to get their hands on Tyler Warren, the tight end out of Penn State. Mel Kiper just mocked Tyler Warren at 7 to the Jets, so this would obviously put them ahead of the Jets at pick 6 and give them the opportunity to get their guy, their tight end that they need. So that would be a win for them as well. So they would still have a good receiving core with the youngsters they got with Downs and Pierce and A.D. Mitchell, and then they would get a dynamic tight end that they need on their team. So I think it would make sense for both teams to do it. You know, all the beat reporters are talking, you know, if you listen to these guys on the beat reporters, they're talking about the Raiders being aggressive to get their receiver, and maybe names that you haven't heard of or thought of, or maybe don't think are available. And so I just kind of put my head together to see who might that be that would fit what we need as a true X. And Michael Pittman fits all of those categories. I think it would be a great opportunity. He's a USC guy, obviously Carroll is too. So I don't know if they have any connections or whatever, but I'm sure they've met. I'm sure they've been around each other at some point, somewhere along the line. If not, probably one of his 2 sons probably has as well. Who knows? I know relationships are important. I couldn't generally find the connection directly, but I think indirectly, just through the USC alone, the alumni and all that, there could be something there to that. But regardless, there's 5 years of film with Michael Pittman Jr. Playing with quarterbacks that are not Geno Smith. Look what Geno did with Metcalf, that big body receiver on the outside. Pittman's not as fast as Metcalf, obviously, but who is? But still a similar type of a receiver that could really help the Raiders out. So other things, you know, yeah, I'd love to get Elijah Moore as well. Like, he would be if you could get Michael Pittman Jr., Elijah Moore, and Jacoby Myers as our 3 receivers with Brock Bowers, and then whoever we get in the backfield, that would be a dynamic offense. That would be something Geno Smith could, I'm sure, really work with. So anyways, that would be my hope for the Raiders, unless we go in the draft. And like I said, there's a few good ones in the draft that I really like. I kind of mentioned them earlier. But yeah, the only thing that would suck about doing that deal, I think, would be pretty positive pushes you out of the Ashton Genty sweepstakes, unless you go to 14 and maybe trade back up in front of the Cowboys, which is only 2 spots ahead, jump 3 spots. That would also be a possibility as well. So if you really wanted Ashton Genty at that point. But anyways, threw some names out there as well that I think would be great at that 14 pick. You know, obviously one of the top 3 tackles, or I forget to even mention Josh Simmons too, but that might be a little riskier because he's a true left tackle. I think I don't think he can play right, but I think whoever we do bring in as offensive lineman, I kind of think you want to have a guy that can, project to either guard or tackle, just because we don't know what the Raiders think of Glaze, and then obviously it could be our future left tackle as well down the line with Colton kind of getting up there a little bit. So I think those three, the Campbell, Banks, and Armand Membu is probably the best one to fill that need. But those three guys can kind of project with their body types and things as guard or tackle type players. So I think that would be a great spot for the Raiders to get to. Shamar Stewart would be awesome as well. I think 14 would be the perfect spot to pick him at. I do think he might go a little earlier, but that's all a traits thing, and Carroll does draft on traits a lot of the time, and maybe not as production. Spytech, maybe not, but we'd see who wins that battle. That would be an interesting, I'm sure, to be in the war room to hear that discussion. Anyways, so that's all I got. What do you guys think about the Raiders trying to put a package together for Michael Pittman Jr.? Again, it helps the Colts with their salary cap. It helps the Colts maybe get players they need, as far as if they take some of ours. Mayer and Tyree, to fill two of their needs. They definitely have those as needs on their team. So that could help them out, or jump up in the draft a little bit to get their guy, who I think their guy is Tyler Warren. So anyways, that's all I got. Let me know your thoughts, Raider Nation. Hopefully we get some more news today, and I can get the depth chart out that I kind of project. And that way, one of the reasons I want to get the depth chart out a little bit is because I want to see what's going to happen with the draft. It helps plan a little bit better for the draft as we're looking at all these prospects, who we should be looking at and targeting, and kind of which rounds we should be looking at, and that type of thing. So I think it definitely helps me as a fan just kind of get familiar with the players and the draft and kind of that type of thing. It's just kind of a fun thing to do as a fan. I think if you're watching this, you probably all do it anyways. Try to figure out the Raiders draft strategy and the rest of free agency, and kind of the team building aspect of it is kind of a lot of fun for the NFL fans. So I just want to also say thanks to all the content creators out there. You guys are doing a great job. Keep covering it, keep throwing out the ideas, keep the conversation going. I think it's great. I love kind of listening to everybody out there. Have a lot of fun with that. And that's about it. I'll try to get the 53-man projection out as soon as the Raiders make a few more moves. Right now there's too many holes. I should mention, I've been talking about on other podcasts, Jake Gibbons. I really wanted him as our linebacker. The Patriots, looks like they signed him today, so you know what? They took our guy, we'll take theirs. Just go sign Ellis to a multi-year deal if you have to. Get him in the building to be our starting will linebacker. I think it would be a great move for the Raiders. So hopefully they can maybe get that done today. I know once the offer sheet is signed, the Patriots have 72 hours, but they just signed a linebacker, Gibbons, so they might be willing to waive that 72 hours and get him in the building a little sooner. So, and then, yeah, hopefully the Geno Smith contract comes out soon, and we can see what kind of that looks like as well. But yeah, hopefully some moves get made here pretty soon, and the Raiders can kind of build this roster the right way. So anyways, that's all I got for today. Until next time, I'll talk to you later. Bye.